Welcome back to Otherworldly Encounters. Today we have a near-death story that comes to us from Al, who encountered a luminous being that showed him vivid imagery of his past, present and future. I was an 8-year-old child, having breathing difficulties off and on for days. Then one day, I could not breathe at all, so my father grabbed me, and he and my mother drove me to the hospital. I was going in and out of consciousness, and knew I was dying. Then there was darkness, then nothingness, and I knew I'd died. But I came back to life when my father screeched the tires around the corners and into the hospital. 2 attendants put me on a cart inside the hospital. Pushing me along, I started gagging, and the attendants started running with my father and mother alongside me. I died again, this time completely gone from my dead body, and there was nothingness. By that, I mean I still existed, but was nowhere at all, and I don't know for how long. The next thing I knew, I was floating up high in a white room, seeing myself down below, on a table, with doctors and nurses all around me. I knew the me on the table was dead, that body was deceased, and no longer my body. I could hear, see, smell, and feel, all the senses, of everyone in that room, and the room itself. The me on the table wasn't moving, and hadn't been moving the entire time I floated overhead. Then someone in a white coat walked away from the table, and I heard him telling my parents, "I'm sorry, your son is dead." My mother was crying, and my father had a weird look on his face. Others in the room were wearing white coats and dresses, and were now just standing there too. But I was happy, and wanted to let my parents know I was happy, but didn't have a way to do that. I watched this for moments. Minutes. Not sure how long. Then I could still see the room, but was pulled out of it diagonally. The room then faded away, and I felt myself being pulled up higher, through clouds, darkness, and into a huge space, or place, or maybe a cavern. It was dark, gray at the fringes, but closer to its center, it was lit by bright colored lights, all around, like spherically placed. I encountered a being who appeared as a pure translucent bright white light, maybe 10 feet tall, and humanoid, changing subtly in appearance. He was in the center of this place, or cavern, or wherever I was, and communicated with me, not in words or symbols, rather in a totality of communication, as if he was sharing part of himself with me. This was a very intimate and most powerful interchange. He was sharing part of himself with me that was more than love, and beyond joy. That sharing was so intense, it felt like he was sharing my entire past, present, and future with me, to include my alternate lifetimes, and here are a few examples. At that time, I had paralysis and was told by my doctors that I would never walk again, and would die early. The being told me I would walk, and do so without crutches, and live a long time. That was very hard for me to believe. Although it took a few years, I did regain my ability to walk, and continue to do so without crutches, and I'm still alive, longer than what the doctors had said. The being showed me how I would overcome societal and work obstacles that faced people of my background. He also revealed how I would gain education, go beyond and make contributions, showing me some specific examples. Almost all of those have come true, maybe some yet to come. I was also shown several of my reincarnations. In one lifetime, I'd come from a Midwest farm, maybe Indiana. An illiterate farm boy, underage, who felt compelled to join the Union Army over the objections of my parents, and an older brother, but with the support of an older sister. On the battlefield, my unit was trapped below large rocks while enemy soldiers poured bullets on us from high up. I died as a bullet struck my forehead. So very rapid, intense, and complete, the sharing was eidetic, meaning he let me experience all the senses of each experience of mine in all those lifetimes. It's difficult to find the right words, yet through what the being shared, I felt in the briefest of moments that I was a part of this being. He was consciously letting me be part of him, and to be with him. The best way I can describe this feeling comes from a poem by Walt Whitman entitled, "On the Beach at Night Alone," wherein he says something like, "A vast similitude interlocks all," meaning, interlocks and spans in commonality, all life, in any form, everywhere, all universes, all times, all creatures, everything that can possibly be. It is that similitude, which this being instantaneously shared with me, and I felt I was part of everything this being knew, did, and represented. I was joyfully everywhere, all places throughout all time, all lives, all existences. I wanted so much to stay with him. I cannot adequately describe the joy, love, acceptance, and belonging that I felt being with, and part of this being, for only the briefest of instances. I'm referring to this being as he, lowercase, because he was not the Jesus or Mohammed, etc., of any religion. This was not a religious NDE for me, yet this being was beyond anything human, and I had a sense that the colored points of light in this place were other beings, directing their attention to him. I say him, but since this being was of all possible genders. I wanted to stay there, but after a pause, this being communicated to me again, not with words or symbols, and I was told not yet. However, the being made promises about always watching over me, and helping and caring for me in my times of need. Next, I was returned to my body, gagging and coughing, with the doctor running over to help me breathe. To this day, I do not believe this was the very same body I previously had. There were differences between the one to which I was returned, and my prior body, not cosmetic, but internal, as if some repairs, or updates, or quick fixes had been made. Much later, when I came home from that hospital, my parents verified my death in the hospital with me, plus shared the doctor's amazement at my miraculous return to life. I live and relive this experience of my first NDE often, and feel everything I felt during this experience. My recollection never changes. Of course, my NDE has impacted my spiritual beliefs, and by that, I mean I've come to understand that there isn't any one religion that comes close to understanding what happened to me in this experience. The being I encountered is much more than any god, prophet, etc., expressed or worshipped by any religion, but much more. And I believe that because of this NDE, I'm able to sometimes see things others cannot, and do things I'm not physically or mentally capable of doing. It is said that people with NDEs can sometimes see the future, and maybe see around corners. This holds true for me too. What are your thoughts on Al's story? Share in the comment section below, and show your support by liking and subscribing to the channel. Don't forget to hit the bell icon to receive notifications for future videos. If you have a story to share, send a written account to the email address provided. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you again soon.